Okay, we'll get started. So good morning and welcome to our Mind the Moments Tuesday morning gathering brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. This is a place where we invite experienced mindfulness instructors to speak with us about what mindfulness means to them and to discuss as a community how we can incorporate these practices into our daily lives. I'm Suzanne Rowe Palacino, absolutely delighted to be here with Kell Julliard. And there he is, an instructor with Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, as just a small part of Kell's very busy very busy and beautifully orchestrated lifestyle. So good morning, Kell. So nice to have you here.
Good morning, Suzanne. Good morning, everyone. Always wonderful to be with you all.
Yeah, so nice to have you here. Nice to see your smile and to have your presence here with us this morning, as we both sit here and envision all of your other smiles that have come here to join us this morning. So we're so happy to have part of our community this morning. So today we'll start off with a question for the group, and then Kell will share a few thoughts with us and lead us in a 12-minute guided meditation practice. That will be a mixture of both guidance as well as a little bit of silence to mix in. So for anybody that's new to meditation practice, no worries. We will guide you throughout the entire 12 minutes. And so with that, if you can go to the bottom of your Zoom screen and open up the chat, and at the very bottom, you'll see a blue drop-down menu, and you can just click on that, choose everyone, and we will just go from there and type in any questions and answers to the question that Kell poses. And and just to let you know, I'm in Chestnut Hill this morning. This is the traveling roadshow. So nice to be here with you from lovely Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. So Kell, what do you have for us this morning?
So before I ask the question, I want to define a term, because we're going to be working with something called river-like or choiceless meditation. And that kind of relates to the idea of flow. And there's something psychologists call a flow state. We often think of it as kind of being in the zone. And I've put a definition of that in the chat. It's when you're really absorbed, immersed in an activity with this feeling of energized focus, you're fully involved, there's a sense of enjoyment in the process of the activity, you're absorbed in what you're doing, and there's a resulting transformation in your sense of time. Time kind of falls away, and you're really, you're so absorbed in what you're doing that you kind of lose a sense of time. So many of us have experienced flow doing one thing or another. So I thought a great question would be, during which activities have you experienced a sense of flow? So those of you who've joined, maybe you can reflect on when you've experienced this. And often it's when we're doing something that's not too difficult and not too easy, so that it's something we want to be engaged in, that calls our attention, because it's not so easy that we can just do it automatically. And yet it's not so difficult that it's stressful or too challenging to be enjoyable. So that's typically the kind of activity where you can really get into this feeling of flow. So I wonder if others have experienced that.
Well, this is just a lovely question. And people have already connected with it, so that's wonderful. I'll share that downhill skiing has always been that time when I really feel like I lose a sense of space and time. And I think it's just the feeling of just, it's not on a challenging trail. It would be, on a trail that I feel like I'm confident and just in the woods, and that's my space. So yeah.
That's great to read that sometimes in your actual work at the office or on your job, that people are experiencing flow, reviewing documents, presentations, teaching water aerobics, editing photos and videos, exercise. People talk about the runner's high, which I think is a sense of flow in that act of running, creating chalk art in my driveway. I love that. I've got a driveway now. I never thought about doing chalk art in my driveway. Whoa.
Mm,
Crafting, planting, walking while listening to books and podcasts, kayaking, cleaning my basement. Whoa, that's it. Ooh, that's my aspiration to experience flow and cleaning my basement, immersing myself in memories attached to things. These are all lovely.
mm, absolutely. And how about you, Cal? What comes to mind for you?
Well, certainly, I love hiking and just the feeling of being outdoors on a beautiful trail. Also, playing the organ or the flute. I can really get lost in the music and in the expressiveness of it, and the challenge of having the music really express what's in my heart about that. Snorkeling in Puerto Rico, I see in the chat. Has to be warm water. Boy, do I
Yeah,
agree with that one.
yeah, that's wonderful one. I love that. And I love how diverse these expressions are. It's the cleaning my basement. I have to say, there are times when I just feel like, okay, papers, there's a sense of just organization and just a goal there. I love that. So thank you for these lovely times and intentions that you have here. So
I do want to say that in meditation, you can experience flow. I would say when we're experiencing flow in an activity, we're not meditating because we're sort of lost in the activity in a sense, absorbed by it. And the essence of meditation is awareness, so that when we become aware that we're doing the activity, we're not in the flow in that moment. And it's not like it's bad to be aware by any means. It can actually be a wonderful thing to just be aware that you're painting or running or snorkeling or downhill skiing, whatever it is. But I think you could actually experience the flow of being really present and aware in the moment in your meditation. But that's not always going to be there in meditation. So it's very important that we don't like grasp onto that feeling and want to create that feeling. Mindfulness is not about creating a special state. So those special states can happen, and it's great to enjoy them when they do, of joy or happiness or other kinds of special states as flow. But they're not essential to our meditation practice. So I think it's important to recognize that and not to like cling on to it, because then that can create a feeling of tightness and like we failed in some way. Just because you're not experiencing flow in meditation doesn't mean you failed. If you know you're present to whatever your experience is, even if it's not the greatest, just that sense of knowingness about what your experience is, then you're meditating. You're doing it right. And you don't have to have anything else besides that to really be able to pat yourself on the back. This is a good meditation if you're just present and just coming back again and again on those days where you get lost a lot. Every time you come back, it's a victory. Celebrate that. So meditation and flow can be together, but they don't have to be.
yeah, that's a wonderful clarification. Wonderful. Thank you, Cal.
So in our meditation today, we're going to do what's called river-like or choiceless awareness, where we bring our focused attention to whatever is arising in the moment. So that could be a thought, it could be an emotion, it could be a sound in the environment, it could be a color or a shape, or just the space of the room you're in. Perhaps there's a a fragrance wafting through the air, um, any body sensation that's arising. And it's almost as though the flashlight of awareness, we're moving from object to object. So it's a bit different from what is called in meditation open presence, where we're just aware of awareness itself and the big spaciousness of awareness. And yes, thoughts and feelings and sensations can come and go, but in open presence, we're mostly aware of awareness itself. But in this river-like or choiceless awareness, it's the object that is arising in awareness that we're most aware of. We know we're aware of the sound. We know we're aware of the body feelings, for instance. So it's going to be a little bit tricky for me to guide this meditation because your experience might be different from anyone else's. You might be aware just knowing that you're having a thought or knowing you're aware that you're having a feeling, whereas someone else might be particularly aware of sound or a body sensation. So it's most important to bring that focus of attention to your own experience. But I'm going to be at moments during our meditation just saying, oh, just notice if a thought is there, or is a sound or a sensation of some kind. So I'll kind of help us be staying in the present moment, but don't feel any obligation to focus on what I mentioned. Just stay with your own experience. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
All right. Well, shall we begin, Suzanne, or anything you
Sounds
want
good.
to share? Okay.
No, this is wonderful.
Okay. So check in with your posture just to make sure that you feel stable, well grounded, that your spine is comfortably, easily upright, and that your body is relaxed. And we'll take a moment just to notice that we're aware and alive and present in this moment. Letting the mind rest in this state of open presence. Noticing the spaciousness of awareness itself. How all of our experience arises within awareness. And as we do this practice of choiceless awareness, of letting our awareness simply move as it will from experience to experience, simply knowing that we're experiencing each one, each unique one as it arises. Perhaps the feelings that are in our body, the feeling of our feet on the floor, our hands resting in our lap, the feeling of the breath moving in and out of the body. Any one of those feelings can be a great place to start because they're always present. They're always, to some extent, vivid. Likewise, we're often aware of the mood or emotion that's present. What's our emotional feeling tone in this moment? We're not trying to change that in any way, just knowing that we're experiencing that. Whenever a sound arises in our environment, our awareness spontaneously moves to that sound. And we can simply know that we're experiencing the sound. Right now, it's the sound of my voice. When we sit for a period of time in a single position, we sometimes notice a little bit of discomfort in our bodies. And we can actually bring awareness to that. It spontaneously emerges into our awareness in this river-like, choiceless flow of our experience. And we're just aware of a little bit of discomfort in our body. And we have a choice. We don't have to move right away. We can bring awareness, just know that we're experiencing the discomfort. And when we do make a choice to move, to become a little more comfortable, then we bring awareness to the movement. And the movement itself becomes what we notice flowing down the river of our experience. And as that movement subsides into stillness, we can then notice the stillness of our bodies. we always have a choice as to whether to meditate with eyes open or eyes closed. Whichever one is most comfortable for us is perfectly fine. And if your eyes are open, there are shapes and colors in the room, objects that we can simply know we're seeing in the moment of awareness. Or if with eyes closed, memories or images arise, perhaps those have a visual component, and we can know that in our mind's eye, we're seeing shapes or colors or scenes. In this choiceless or river-like meditation practice, it's the flow of our experience itself that enables us to know that we're aware and present. As one object of experience after another arises, even thoughts and feelings are objects of experience. We can simply know that we're having a mood or an emotion, or knowing that we're thinking as a thought comes and goes. And now let the mind just rest back into open presence, open awareness, recognizing awareness itself. The mind resting as it is, ordinary and natural. In this state of open presence, we don't have to block sensations, thoughts, and emotions. And yet mostly we're recognizing awareness itself. Just knowing we're present here and now. And that concludes our meditation for today. So if your eyes are closed, let them gently open. You might stretch a little bit, just look around to reorient yourself to the space and our Zoom. And if you'd like to share your experience of that meditation, what that was like for you, any questions, doesn't have to be profound, just whatever that was like, whatever arose for you during that experience.
Thank you, Cal.
I know for me, there's something very comforting about river-like or choiceless meditation in that I don't have to feel like I've got to constrain my experience in some way to a single particular object, but I can just enjoy the flow of experience. There's something very freeing to me about this particular practice. So how is that for you, Suzanne?
I found it very interesting. I have something on my mind that I did find I kept coming back to. It's just a, scheduling thing that's going on today. But I did find I wasn't, like you said, I wasn't keeping that at bay. I was just noticing it. And then when I stopped noticing it, I started noticing something else. So it was interesting to not, for example, come back to my focus point or anchor, but to just see where my mind went after that. So it was interesting.
Yeah, so if you keep coming back to the same thought, or that's just the river, that's just still the river, you're still meditating. And I see a wonderful insight in the chat about how the child playing outside the door is no longer distracting. The sound of the child is now a support for being aware and present. So thanks for sharing that experience. I'm wondering how many of you found this meditation easy, if anyone found it challenging. If you feel like typing that in the chat, it would be great to see. Challenging, but in a good way, I see. Okay, that's great. It could be something different to try, right? Which in itself can be a challenge if we're used to meditating in a certain way. Someone found it easier, as I know it's okay to wander and come back. Absolutely. Every time you come back, it's a victory. I find that way in church. Crying kids don't bother me any longer. Right. Yeah, that's wonderful. That in fact, crying children could be like, oh, I was lost. Thank you, crying child, for bringing me back to this present moment. There can actually be gratitude can arise with these sounds or things going on in your environment. This practice really soothed me today. It was very peaceful, and I seemed to ease right into it. That's great.
I love these opportunities to mix it up with our practice. It's just a wonderful way to, to just open up to something new. Truly, I mean, that's what you're doing, and I'm really grateful for you to be here offering this practice for us this morning, Cal. It's wonderful, and obviously a lot of people felt connected to it. So I'm grateful for your practice and for your teaching.
Well, thank you. And likewise, always so great to be here with you, Suzanne, and with everyone who joins. Thank you for bringing this into your lives. The benefits for us ripple out to others just spontaneously. So very happy to be with you all.
Yes.
We're at 9:01 now, so that flew by.
It always does. It always does. Well, thank you. And thank you to everyone for joining this morning. And if you're able to join tomorrow morning with our Zoom meeting format, hoping you can join. So thank you so much, and we will see you soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Hope that.
Wishing you a little bit of flow during today.
Thank you. Okay. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.